True crime author Ellison Oswald has not had a bestseller in a decade, which was in the form of the contentious Kentucky Blood. Sensing a hook for a new hit, he moves his family into a house where another family was murdered, which is a fact he doesn't share with his wife and children. However, when Ellison discovers an old box of Super 8mm home movies in the attic, he plunges headlong into a far more disturbing revelation. The films depict a series of seemingly ritualistic family murders, stretching back to the 1960s, propelling the desperate author to follow them through, regardless of the strange occurrences that begin to unsettle his life. Amidst seeing and hearing strange things all around the house, his son Trevor's night terrors are worsening, and his daughter begins talking about the missing daughter of the slain family. Gaining some assistance from a local deputy who happens to be a fan of the author's work, along with occult crime expert Professor Jonas, Ellison tries to piece together the bizarre nature of these crimes. Ultimately, he learns that the pagan symbols in the films are those related to a Babylonian deity who would consume the souls of children and may now be latched onto the Oswald family to be his next sacrifices. So helmed up by director and co-writer Scott Derrickson, who had previously done the much lesser Hellraiser Inferno and the much more well-looked upon The Exorcism of Emily Rose, Sinister hit theaters in October 2012 with an exceptionally creepy marketing campaign, and I definitely remember having to seriously pump up my courage to see this one, and it definitely exceeded all my expectations of fright. And watching it now 5 years later, it still holds up with a chilling, haunting atmosphere of tension. And A Nightmare from co-writer C. Robert Cargill inspired the film after having watched Gore Verbinski's American remake of The Ring. And of course, Sinister does share some basic similarities with that film. Whereas The Ring made prominent use of a cursed VHS tape, Sinister features a wholly effective use of Super 8mm film. And starting out this movie with one of those grainy, hyper-saturated, just creepy films depicting one of the slain families could not set the grim tone for this film any more concretely. And to have the shocking revelations of terror be held within these chilling home movies is so absolutely effective and perfectly inspired, juxtaposing a few warm images of fun families against the looming voyeuristic terror unfolding on these same reels captures something so tangibly terrifying. With the film starting out as some kind of ritualistic true crime tale, starts the horror on a very visceral, almost too close to home level, but then it's gradually elevates to a supernatural terror, which enhances the horror beyond anything our characters can easily comprehend. And even if Sinister, as many critics proclaim, uses a lot of familiar horror tropes of creepy kids, loud noises, and dark corridors, Derrickson's execution is very taut, resulting in a film that delivers on terror and suspense. It's rather surprising that the vast majority of the film barely ever steps beyond the front or backyard of this house, and you hardly realize it as the scope of McGould's menace stretches out over decades and across such wide distances. It's a nicely crafted screenplay that tells a contained, focused story with a wider supernatural mythology behind it, and to see how that all gradually creeps into Ellison's psyche becomes the darker, more horrifically disturbing underpinning of it all. And Ethan Hawke's Ellison Oswald is someone you can easily view as self-centered and self-serving, who puts his family into a bad situation by hiding the truth from them, and shying away from going to the police with these films for the sake of his fame and career. How he chooses to provide for his family, and seeing that he has fallen on harder times, resorting to excessive drinking to cope with his nightmarish research, you're gripped into the depths that he is continuing to fall into, and it humanizes him as a very flawed protagonist. He genuinely feels like he's doing the right thing ultimately for his family, but everything he does is hurtling them further towards condemning their own fate. Hawke hits all the beats perfectly between the eternal conflict of the family man, the stressed author terrified by his own discoveries, and every element that tethers them together and absolutely tears at his wits. Witnessing the deterioration of his mental and emotional state and how he's not sure if there's actually something haunting him, or if the alcohol-medicated stress is messing with his mind. It's just great substance for Ethan Hawke to dig further into. His performance altogether is truly the core strength of the film that pulls the audience through the grim horror unfolding before them. And the supporting cast is especially good here, with the now late Fred Thompson as the local sheriff, who offers Ellison his dislike for the author's disposition and unwanted upheaval that follows him around. And James Ransome is a particularly bright spot as the starstruck deputy who kind of acts as the rationale of the audience. While feeling very inadequate in the presence of the famous author, he really is the one person talking a lot of sense to Ellison, and doing so with a nice bit of levity. It's such a great inclusion to the film that offers our lead character someone to relate his discoveries and fears to, who treats it with very honest and realistic reaction. Mainly he tells Oswald that it was pretty much crazy to have spent even a single night in this house. Ransome is just so absolutely perfect in this role. I can't imagine anyone else hitting the exact balance this character needed to hit for the story. And additionally, Juliet Rylance as Tracy Oswald does an absolutely magnificent job portraying a loving mother, but also a wife with very compelling conflicts to grapple with. She's been with Oswald throughout his entire career, enduring the emotional strains he's put himself through researching these true crimes. You understand they've had an enduring relationship, and she is given dimension through her outrage when she discovers the truth of the situation, yet reconciles and shows her bond with Ellison by not letting this crush their marriage or family. She truly delivers a rock-solid performance amidst a stellar cast that is superbly directed every step of the way. And wrapped up with an immensely tense score from Hellraiser composer Christopher Young, and a razor-sharp focus on grim atmosphere and mood, enhanced by the stark lighting, the spine-tingling horror of Sinister is truly rattling. And the cinematography isolates our characters in this foreboding location with heavy shadows even during daytime scenes. While it might beg the question why no one just flips on a light switch at times, the darkness enveloping the interiors of this house surely reflects the looming evil creeping in upon them. And the sequence of the ghostly children moving through the house is just utterly chilling and creepy as hell. Yet the film escalates its scare factor from there towards an unexpected and bleak climax that ascends the audience into gripping fear. Cinematographer Christopher Noir brilliantly shoots every frame of this film, backed by Derrickson's vision and tight grip on visual impact. The overall design of this film, from sound design to the music to the visuals, craft a richly effective horror film. And the editing is dead perfect punctuation on so many moments of terror and drama, and the use of long takes and handheld camera movements really puts you into the atmosphere and headspace of this entire narrative. I can't say enough about just how terrifying Sinister absolutely is. The mood is utterly enveloping from start to finish with spine-chilling horror. From the concepts to the execution and the talent involved bring everything they have to it. This is an intense experience to delve into. And I will agree with me that the final jump scare before the end credits was wholly unnecessary, as the lingering horror the film chokes you up with is far more potent to end on. But regardless, Sinister remains as effective now as it was the day it terrified me in the theater in 2012. Costing all of $3 million to produce, it grossed over $77 million at the box office, which has become fairly standard fare for Blumhouse Productions, which continues to churn out a lot of low-budget horror hits. Can't yet speak to the 2015 Sinister sequel, but I know it was not well received by critics or many fans of the original, but in any case, I greatly invite your comments about Sinister itself. So thumbs up and sharing around or whatever you enjoy on this channel is always immensely appreciated. So thanks so much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.